Hello and welcome to another episode of The Average EV. Today we're doing something a little fun. You get a new EV, you're really excited, it has the range you want, it charges as fast as you want, you take it to the charger, you go on a road trip, and then you're like, wait a minute, I thought I was supposed to have 250 miles of range. Isn't this supposed to charge up to 190 kilowatts? And it doesn't do what you expect. So in this video, I'm just gonna go over a couple things so that hopefully you have a little bit more realistic approach when you get your vehicle and your expectations aren't kind of ruined because you thought you're getting something, but you actually got something else. Let's get into it. Okay, everybody, so again, you window shop, you look for the right EV you want, you go, you buy it, and then you get it, you're driving it, and it isn't what you thought it was gonna be. And I think that this is a little bit of an issue with the marketing for the different EVs and also just a lack of knowledge in most dealerships. Now, hopefully that will change. I know that Chevy has done a lot to kind of improve the knowledge of their dealers, or at least provide services to their dealers and their customers so they can learn about EVs. But anyways, it happens, and how can you have a little bit more realistic approach when you're getting an EV, or maybe you've had your EV for a little bit of time? Well, the first thing is, whatever the range is that's posted, you're probably not going to get that, especially when you're driving highway speeds. Most of the time, the EPA estimate is kind of like a good idea of a mix between city driving and highway driving. Not always, but you can assume it's gonna be somewhere in the middle-ish, okay? So for example, I have my Kona Electric here. It's rated at 258 miles of range, but with my normal daily driving, sometimes I get 280, 290, 300, 315, I think is the most I've ever seen miles of actual range because of how much energy I actually need to use when I'm commuting. When I'm on the highway, the Kona gets way, way worse. It's somewhere closer to, like, I don't know, 230, maybe 220, something like that. Just because the more energy you use to go faster, obviously your efficiency is going to go down a little bit. So yes, when you look at the range, don't expect to get the range that is posted. Now, some EVs actually exceed the EPA range, but most of the time it's lower than the EPA estimated range, and just be aware of that. Definitely go watch some videos. I have a Volkswagen ID4 range test coming out where it's actually pretty close, but it definitely doesn't meet the EPA estimated range. Another thing, just so you all are aware, and I have a ton of videos about it, but when you're driving, your range might just be different because of the weather conditions. Maybe you have a really heavy-handed foot. That's going to affect your range. A whole host of reasons. I'm not going to kind of go into those now because I've done a bunch of videos about that. But go check this video out. I'll put a card if you want to check them out and kind of learn more about things that do affect your range. Now, the other thing, I think this is a little bit more important for people to kind of know about, is the charging speed. The Volkswagen ID4 is a great example. The 2023, it was advertised at being able to charge up to 170 kilowatts max charging rate. And I got the 2023 Volkswagen ID4. I went and tested it at Electrify America 350 kilowatt charger, and I can actually, if the charger's working, I can pull 186 all the way up to the highest I've ever seen is 192 kilowatts. So that's like a really great scenario where I was getting more than was rated, which is awesome. But most other EVs, usually what is posted is what you end up getting, which is good. At least they're being honest there. Now, I have my opinions about whether the fast charging speed matters. It really matters about the charging speed average. But there are some other things that people don't realize affect their charging speed. First thing is, maybe the charger that you're using can't actually output the maximum fast charging speed. So some fast chargers can only do 50 kilowatts. And so for my ID4, I'm only gonna get really 48 kilowatts once things get going, but about 48, 50 kilowatts. Now you plug in a different car, and I don't want to get too technical, but the Ioniq 5 and the Porsche Taycan, they're a little bit different, and they can actually charge faster on a 50 kilowatt charger, which is kind of interesting. And they can go like 70 kilowatts, even though it says it's 50 kilowatts. And you're like, what? So there's a whole bunch of factors that can affect the charging speed. Now, maybe, your car can charge above 200 kilowatts, but you go to a 150 kilowatt charger and you're only going to get 150 or something like that. So just know how fast the charger you're using is, and that is going to affect your speed as well. If I just said kilowatts and all that stuff and you got really confused, I highly recommend checking out ChargeWay. It's a really cool app that takes kilowatts out of the equation and just uses numbers, and is a little bit easier to digest for people who just want to drive their electric car. And then lastly, things that can affect your charging speed are if the chargers are broken. And there's a lot of different opinions, and I've had people share their different opinions with me about this, but I think it is good for every EV driver to at least know, when my car is charging, what is the max speed supposed to be, so that when you go to a charger and that charger should be giving you your max speeds and it's not, you at least know that something is wrong with that charger. Because I would really hate for you to be charging on a slow charger and you could just move one over and get faster speeds. And that would only happen because you didn't know that your car could charge up to whatever. So just make sure you know what your max charging speed is. That way you can kind of navigate when there might be a potential issue with a charger, because that's happening a lot now with Electrify America and other charge point operators. And the last thing I wanted to mention is sometimes, and I hope this doesn't happen a lot with the NEVI funding and all these chargers that go out there, but sometimes a charger might be rated for, say, 200 kilowatts. A good example is a lot of the chargers that EVgo has are labeled as 200 kilowatts. But what they don't tell you is that's only for an 800 volt car. And again, I don't want to use a bunch of fancy terminology, but they're just cars that can charge faster. And not many of them exist. It's the Ioniq 5, the Kia EV6, Genesis GV60, Porsche Taycan, Hummer EV, and a couple other 350 kilowatt charging vehicles. Sorry, let me correct myself. 800 volt vehicles. Those will get the 200 kilowatts. But my Hyundai Kona on one of those 200 kilowatt chargers is only going to max out at, well, fortunately my car maxes out at 77 kilowatts, but that's all it's going to get. I take my ID4, it should be able to get 200 kilowatts theoretically, but because of the charger and the way things work and all the electric stuff that I want to get into, it can actually only charge at 80 kilowatts, even though it says 200 kilowatts. And you can see that's a little bit deceptive. So I think there's a long way to go when it comes to these charge point operators and being able to communicate what you're actually going to get when you go to a charger. I think there needs to be more transparency. If a station isn't working properly, they need to tell you it's not working properly, especially if, like, say your car is supposed to get 192, like the ID4, and it's only getting 100. It should say the charging is limited by the station. Some cars do that for you, which is super cool. I think all cars should do that, and I think all charge point operators should be required by law to do that, just so you know as a customer that you aren't getting what you asked for, what you paid for with your vehicle. So that's kind of it with that. Just some things like, I thought when I got my vehicle, I was going to have these charging speeds, and then you didn't get that. So you have a little bit more level expectations, and you have a better EV experience. And hopefully over time, ranges will improve, charging speeds will improve. But for now, I think it's just really important for everybody to know that your range is affected by different factors, and that your charging speed is going to vary depending upon the charger and a bunch of other reasons. Well, that is all I have for today, everybody. Please leave your comments down below. I'd really like to hear what everybody thinks about the charge point operators and them essentially false advertising. I'd like to see what y'all think. Should they be more transparent? Should they label in different ways? Maybe use the Chargeway. The Chargeway numbers could be cool. Something like that. I don't know. Leave it down below. Thanks again for watching. As always, remember to hit the like and subscribe button. Hit that notification bell. And I will catch you all next time.